Did you know that many cool scenes were deleted from the Lorax movie? For example, there was a completely new scene that was cut from the film, where Onceler is being chased by angry animals and grabs a pillow to defend himself. There is indeed a scene where the animals are angry with Onceler, but he doesn't actually get chased. The filmmakers decided to replace the chase and the pillow with 2 giant marshmallow bags, which resulted in that famous scene of marshmallows flying everywhere. And that's just the first of the 12 incredible deleted scenes from the Lorax that we've gathered for you today. Chase. There's a scene that was completely removed from the movie, where O'Hare and his henchmen are chasing Ted, Audrey, and Grandma on the small motorcycle. To escape, Ted pulls off a stunt worthy of a daredevil biker, looping through the small tunnel, causing O'Hare and the henchmen who were flying to crash into the van where the other henchman was. However, in the deleted scene, O'Hare continues the chase alone and on foot, which was completely cut from the film. But it actually makes sense, because O'Hare almost catches up to them in the elevator.
Ted! Nobody beats
Jumping the bridge. That scene where Ted simply has to jump from one side to the other of an old bridge to reach the abandoned Onceler factory has a different version than what was shown in the final movie. In the regular scene, we see Ted holding onto the vehicle to avoid being thrown off, and when he finally manages to reach the other side, he almost loses control and takes a deep breath of relief. In the deleted or altered scene, it seems like Ted actually enjoys himself, both when he's falling and when he's ascending, and he doesn't appear to lose control of the motorcycle either when going down or when going up. Smelling the Truffula. It's hard to forget the scene where the first Truffula tree was cut down by the Onceler, especially since it was from its stump that the tiny Lorax sprang. After the forest guardian and the animals place some stones around the stump, symbolizing a sort of funeral, he looks to the side and sees the Onceler removing the tufts of Truffula and even joking around as if they were cheerleader pom-poms. But in the original, there's a small segment that would replace this cut scene, where instead of playing with the tufts, he would bring them to his nose and rub them on his face, almost in a love-struck manner, before tossing them into a basket with more Truffula tufts. It would be a second version of the scene. Looking at the axe. And what if I told you there's still a third version of that same scene? Well, it was also created, but in this one, the Onceler, instead of playing with the Truffula, takes his axe and looks at the handle or the blade. It's not very clear. That's something lumberjacks often do, but I believe the filmmakers found the other scene more interesting, and perhaps the audience wouldn't quite understand why he was looking at the axe. Favorite son. It's no secret that the Onceler's mother is a great, or rather terrible, example of a greedy human being. She herself thought her son would be a complete failure when he left home.
If somehow your invention ends up a failure instead of a success, oh, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
But when he called, summoning the whole family to work with the Thneed, they quickly arrived at the Truffula forest. However, when the greedy Onceler cut down the last Truffula tree, the first thing she did was declare him a disappointment and simply walked away. And then she says that Brett is now her favorite son. However, there's a cut scene that happens right after that, which didn't make it into the final edit of the film. Brett responds by saying, "Thanks, Mom. Actually, I didn't even remember that guy's name was Brett. Did you?" Just to mess around a bit. And also, if you're enjoying the video, comment below, #Brett, the almost unknown and illustrious brother of the Onceler. Uncle's speech. And in the continuation of that same scene, there's something else that was also cut from the film. Remember that weird uncle of the Onceler who hypocritically hugged him when they arrived at the Truffula tree forest and said he loved the Onceler, even though he always called him a failure? Well, he simply appears from the back of the car after the Onceler's mother declares that her favorite son was someone else, and he embraces Brett and says the same thing he said to the Onceler, that he loves Brett.
You are now my favorite child.
Oh, thanks, Ma. Hey, I love this guy.
Which proves that the whole family is made up of very self-interested and fake people. Burn. And here comes one of the strangest and most nonsensical scenes that was probably cut for that reason. The other brother of the Onceler, this one named Chet, looks at the Onceler and says the word burn. Because it's a very bizarre and strange scene, it definitely deserved to be deleted.
Hey, I love this guy. Burn.
Melvins Kick. It seems that the original idea was for the twin brothers to always say burn as their own catchphrase, because in another scene, right at the beginning of the Onceler story when he says goodbye to his family, one of the brothers punches the Onceler's arm and says burn. Interestingly, then Melvin, the Onceler's donkey, kicks him and sends him flying. But the scene that follows after that is the one that was cut. The Onceler's brother falls face down between the twin brother and Aunt Griselda, and he says burn once again. Indeed, that catchphrase was cut from the final edit.
Wheels! Burn! Burn!
Grisels Savings. Continuing with the Onceler's family, during the song How Bad Can I Be?, there's a moment where we see Aunt Griselda shaking a $sign right above her savings. Quite suggestive, isn't it? The fact is, in the original scene of that part of the song, Griselda not only shook it, but also gave a thumbs up to the audience watching the film.
Bad can I possibly be? Care of mine. Shake that bottom line.
Just a slight aesthetic change to the scene, which would still be awful anyway. After all, this Griselda is not a nice person, because anyone who throws the Lorax is not a good person. Calling the security guards. Did you know that the scene where the Onceler tells the Lorax that he will cut as many trees as he wants while descending the staircase would have been completely different? Actually, it would have been replaced by another scene. Instead of arguing with the poor furry orange creature, he would simply call security and report that some intruders had entered, and then he would casually mention that the Lorax would end up in jail. But the director probably decided to keep the staircase scene and immediately follow it with the moment when the last Truffula tree was cut down to create a greater impact and contrast with the Onceler's statement.
Hi, security. We have some adorable intruders who are trespassing. You're all going to jail.
Thneed scene. There was a huge and incredible scene that was completely deleted from the film. On the day when the Onceler was trying to sell his product in Greenville, as usual, he was being mistreated and becoming a target for tomatoes. So he decides to give up, throws the Thneed aside, and accidentally hits a woman who was simply reading a book. And that's when the Thneed becomes a sensation in town. But the original scene, until the Thneed landed on the woman's head who was sitting on the bench, was completely different and much longer. In fact, the Onceler would throw the Thneed in the trash, where a small cat would start playing with it until both the cat and the Thneed were thrown into the garbage truck. But when they were there, a gust of wind would cause the Thneed and the cat to end up on a motorcyclist's head. With their vision blocked, the motorcyclist would perform spectacular maneuvers, like passing through a giant donut and flying over 4 school buses. After all that, he would land safely, and as everyone applauded, he would grab the Thneed, spin it, and throw it. And that's when he would finally land on the head of the girl sitting on the bench reading a book. That would have definitely been a scene that I would have liked to see in the film. And you? It turned out really cool. These were the 12 amazing scenes that were deleted from the Lorax. Comment down below which one you enjoyed seeing the most. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the upcoming videos. Until next time, bye-bye!